Presenting Hop Harrigan, America's Ace of the Airways. CX-4 calling control tower. CX-4 calling control tower. Standing by.
Control tower, back to CX-4. Wind southeast, ceiling 1200. All clear.
Okay, this is Hop Harrigan coming in. Yes, it's America's Ace of the Airways, coming in for another transcribed episode of the Adventures of Hop Harrigan. Say, fellas and girls, let's imagine that you were a transatlantic passenger aboard a trans-world airline Constellation. Do you know that you could easily be sitting right next to one of the world's really important people? Maybe it would be General Ike Eisenhower, or Queen Wilhelmina of Holland, or General Jimmy Doolittle, or Rear Admiral Richard Byrd, or Mrs. Eleanor Roosevelt. Yes, sir, the passenger list of the TWA Constellations reads like who's who of the United Nations. And the reason so many famous persons ride the Constellations, or Connies as these ships are nicknamed, is because they're the luxury liners of the air. Besides, they're among the world's largest and fastest transports. The Constellation's amazing history started 12 years ago as a dream in the mind of that great aviation designer and pilot, Howard Hughes. He was writing another chapter in the Golden Book of Aviation while making the first coast-to-coast substratosphere flight in a small mailplane with early high-altitude equipment. Well, the trip was cold and uncomfortable and turned out to be downright dangerous when his oxygen tube became disconnected. His teeth were chattering and every bone in his body ached during this trip. And right then and there, he promised the stars and himself that someday he'd design a high-altitude transport ship which would be both comfortable and safe. He wanted it to have seats for about 50 passengers in the daytime and sleeping quarters for about 20 at night. Well, 2 years later, in 1937, Howard Hughes made the first mock-up of the Constellation. The United States Army immediately became interested. But I'll tell you more about that later. So don't forget to listen. And now to our story. Involved in a fantastic manhunt led by Bill King, fast-talking reporter for the Continental News Service, Hop and Tank are literally going around in circles. The man King is after is said to possess the amazing power to make people disappear. The only means of identifying him, however, is his peculiar habit of almost continually whistling the mournful strains of a funeral march. Thus far, the trail has led to the Lakeville Fairgrounds, where a traveling carnival is setting up its tents. According to all indications, the whistling mystery man is one of the carnival people. But now, to complicate matters, something seems to have happened to Tank. As we continue, it is the morning following the night of Tank's strange behavior. Hop and Bill King are having breakfast at the Nolan house, explaining all that happened.
More toast, Hop?
No, thanks.
Mr. King?
Well, maybe one more piece. And, look, say, don't you think it's about time we drop that Mr. and Miss routine?
Well, I don't know. I'm still annoyed at you for that childish black hand business.
All right, so I made a mistake. They don't hang a man for one mistake.
Don't bury the hatchet, Gail. Bill's all right.
Thanks, pal.
He's a newspaper man. You've got to understand newspaper men.
Yes, I suppose so.
Now you're
All right.
talking. That calls for another cup of coffee.
Well, now what about Tank, Hop? You got me worried.
No, you're not the only one. Nothing like this has ever happened before.
Well, start from the beginning. Oh, here you are, Bill.
Thanks, Gail.
Well, it started when we left Tank in the car parked at the station. He was gone when we got back. We drove to the fairgrounds where the carnival was setting up, and we found him watching a tent being raised. I started to bawl him out for worrying me. But instead of the usual excuses, he looked at me blankly and denied knowing us.
Oh, he was joking, of course.
Well, that's what we thought, even after he denied his name was Tank Tinker.
Yeah, he said he was Joe Brown.
Well, I got a little annoyed, excuse me, and grabbed him. Next thing I knew, I saw his fist coming at me like a pile driver. There wasn't time to duck. He hit me full on the jaw, and I went out like a light.
Good heavens.
Bill and one of the carnival men carried me to the car.
But you mean you were really unconscious?
Ask me. It took 15 minutes to bring him around.
Yeah, my jaw still hurts.
I just can't believe that Tank would do a thing like that. Well, he worships the ground you walk on.
No, anyway, I finally came to, and of course my first thought was to find Tank. But before we could get started, he found us. But he didn't look right to me. What was the first thing he said, Bill?
Let's see. Oh, yeah, he told you to go on back home.
Uh-huh, that's right.
Oh, he knew who you were?
Oh, sure. And he apologized for having hit me.
With no explanation?
No explanation. All he kept saying was that he couldn't tell me anything. Finally, he said he had to go.
Go where?
Back to the carnival, I suppose. He pointed to a tent they were putting up and said he wanted me to be there tomorrow. That's today.
In the afternoon.
That's right. Then he said good night, and he was gone.
It all sounds like a bad dream.
If you ask me, there's something wrong with him.
You mean he's not well?
That's the idea.
Well, Hop, what do you think?
I don't know. I'm all confused. I don't know what to think.
Well, certainly if there's the least possibility of Tank's not being well, we've got to do something about it. You left him at the fairgrounds?
Yes, I didn't want to, but I didn't want to start any trouble either.
You know, something just occurred to me.
What?
You happened to mention, I don't remember how it came up, but you said something about Tinker being an amateur detective?
Yeah, he bought a mail order course. You know, one of those how to become a detective in 6 easy lesson things. How's that fit in?
I was thinking that maybe he's playing detective now. Maybe he's on the trail or something.
Well, what, for instance?
Maybe the bird I'm looking for.
If he is, or even thinks he is, he could certainly tell us about it. Why all the secrecy?
Search me. You know him better than I do.
That's just the point. I know him so well that this doesn't make sense. Like Gail said, it sounds like a bad dream.
Well, I don't see any point in sitting around here discussing it. We've got to do something.
Name it and we'll do it.
Well, the first step seems obvious. Go down to the fairgrounds and get hold of Tank.
That smells like trouble to me.
What do you mean?
Someone's going to get hurt.
Oh, nonsense.
Oh, don't say nonsense, Gail. I think we'd better play along with Tank. After lunch, we'll all go down there. We'll follow his instructions to the letter, go to the tent he pointed out, and await developments. A few hours more or less won't matter.
I wonder.
What is it, 10 o'clock?
Yes.
All right, let's arrange to get there about 1. And when you see him, Gail, whatever you do, don't cross him, or there will be trouble.
Against her better judgment, Gail Nolan agrees to Hop's plan of action, to follow Tank's instructions and appear at the designated carnival tent early in the afternoon. Returning to the airport with Bill King, Hop assures Aunt Agatha that Tank is all right and explains away his absence. At 1:45, Gail picks the boys up in her car and they drive to the fairgrounds. The opening day of the carnival is evidently a great success. Under a bright summer sky, a gay crowd is milling about among the amusements. The tinkling music of the calliope mingles with the brassy cries of barkers. The air is heavy with the sweet, nutty smell of buttered popcorn. At intervals, a bell clangs as some iron-muscled farmer swings a wooden hammer and drives an iron weight to the very top of a gaily painted strength thermometer. All is fun and frolic as Hop, Gail, and Bill King pass through the gate.
Well, there's nothing like a carnival to draw a crowd. Hey, is that the tent over there, the red one?
Uh-huh. What's the sign on it?
Miss Stowe the Magician.
Uh-oh. Magic we're going to get mixed up with.
Are we supposed to go inside?
I don't know.
Hurry. Continuous
I don't see Tank out here.
I guess he meant for us to go in. I'll get the tickets. 3, please.
3 for the big magic show. Here you are. Step right in for Miss Stowe the Magician.
Thanks.
Miss Stowe the Magician.
Come on, Gail. Bill.
Hurry. Continuous performance now.
Well, at least it's quieter in here than it is outside.
Yes.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, as my final act of magic for this performance, I will endeavor to make a human being disappear before your very eyes.
Oh, did you hear that?
Yes.
I'm going down front, Harrigan. I want to get a good look at this.
Okay, Bill.
Here on the stage, you see a plain wooden box. Now I will ask for a volunteer from the audience. Who is willing to assist me? Who is willing to disappear before the eyes of all these people? I see a young man coming up the aisle.
Hope, look.
Step right up, young man.
It's Tank. Tank is walking up to the stage.
Startled, Hop and Gail half rise from their seats as they see Tank lumber up the wooden steps to the stage, his face set in grim lines of determination. We'll be back in a moment to continue this tense, exciting episode, so stand by. At the beginning of today's Hop Harrigan, I was telling you about the new Constellation. Well, now here's some more dope for you. The plane's designer, Howard Hughes, knew that this high-altitude ship with a top speed of 340 miles per hour 4 engines totaling 8,800 horsepower and a non-stop range of over 5,000 miles would be an invaluable aid to the Army as a transport. So, climbing into the cockpit, Hughes warmed up the motors and zoomed off to Washington, setting a speed record from Los Angeles to the nation's capital at 6 hours and 48 minutes. Well, to get back to the Connie, the passenger comfortable as your living room. It's pressurized, maintained atmosphere at a 20,000-foot altitude, as your parlor has at home. The passenger seats suit your taste, and they're as soft as a puff fur. The Constellation is designed to have innumerable also. It has hydraulic power boost controls that help reduce pilot fatigue, positive control of it at all times. It has an automatic detection and location with a positive fire extinguisher system created by the flight engineer. Oh, and many more safety features. Gang, that Constellation sure is an airplane. Its world record proved it, and its 35 transport speed records prove it again. Whether you're a passenger on a commercial airline or you're right up there in the sky piloting your own ship, you know that flying is fun. So fellas and girls, learn to fly now because America needs flyers. And now back to our story. In the carnival tent of an entertainer billed as Misto the Magician, Hop and Gale look on as Tank volunteers to stretch out in a wooden box on the stage and permit the magician to make him disappear. As we continue now, the audience is hushed as the magician, in half darkness, passes a wand over the locked box.
Abracadabra, alakazam, vanish from the sight of man. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I will unlock the box, and I will lift the cover. The box is empty. The man has disappeared.
Come on, Gale, follow me. Go back to the tent. Hurry.
Wait, Hop.
We can't wait. Come on.
Excuse me, please.
Let us through here. Here, Gale. Take my hand.
I got caught in that knob at the end. What do you expect to find at the back of the tent?
I'll show you. Here we are. Crawl under the canvas. There's the place. Go ahead. All right.
Yes, except that I'm ruining my dress.
Watch it. I'm coming under. There.
Well, there's nothing back here.
That's funny. Where's Tank?
Well, is this where you expected to find him?
Of course. See the trapdoor in the bottom of that platform? That's the stage. See, there's a mattress under it. He dropped down through the bottom of the box.
Well, and where is he?
That's what I don't understand. He seems to have disappeared completely.
Puzzled, Hop and Gale stand in the rear of the magician's tent, wondering what happened to Tank. It seems obvious that the disappearing act was nothing more than a trick, and yet what happened to the big lumbering mechanic? Where is he? Gang, you'll be surprised when you find out, so don't miss it. Be sure to listen tomorrow, same time, same station, to the next episode of The Mystery of the Vanishing Men. Tune in and fly with Hop Harrigan, America's ace of the airways. So long, Hop. We'll be seeing you same time, same station. Hop Harrigan is a transcribed, copyrighted feature appearing in All-American Comics magazine and is brought to you Monday through Friday, same time, same mutual station. Presenting Hop Harrigan, America's ace of the airways.
CX-4 calling control tower. CX-4 calling control tower. Standing by.
Control tower, back to CX-4. Wind southeast, ceiling 1200. All clear.
Okay, this is Hop Harrigan coming in.
Yes, it's America's ace of the airways, coming in for another transcribed episode of The Adventures of Hop Harrigan. Before we join Hop Harrigan today, fellas and girls, I want to tell you something about something new in teamwork. There's nothing as old as teamwork when it comes to getting a job done. But when you start using automobiles, trucks, airplanes, and helicopters as a team, well, that's teamwork which rates a varsity letter. Well, it all started just a week or so ago when an expedition of 10 men set out to explore the wilds of northern Canada. It's a new kind of surveying that may open up mining fields which never would have been reached if it weren't for modern transportation. The helicopter is one of the newest additions to the team, and very important to it. You see, the explorers are going to use very sensitive magnetic instruments and electrical equipment to spot mineral and oil deposits from the air. Say, that's really something, isn't it? You know, some of those forests up north have never even been entered because it's practically impossible to get through by foot. But if you can spot good mining possibilities from the air, well, you save yourself a lot of trouble. In this particular case, Floyd Carlson, the chief test pilot for the Bell Aircraft Corporation, is going to fly the helicopter, and as a result, scientists figure they can chart that wild country in 1/10 of the time it would normally take. Now, some of you might ask, why don't they use a standard type plane? Well, I'll tell you more about that in just a few minutes, so don't forget to listen. And now to our story. It is Carnival Day in Lakeville, and the fairgrounds just outside of town are jammed with noisy, laughing crowds of men, women, and children out to have a good time. But behind one of the smaller tents just off the midway, where gaudy posters blare the presence of Mr. the Magician, two people stand completely oblivious to the merriment surrounding them. They're deaf to the chatter and laughter of the crowds and the high, swooping notes of the steam variety and carousel in the distance. For these two people, Hop Harrigan and Gail Nolan, are afraid of a shadowy, unknown person who makes people disappear, who, to the doleful lament of a funeral dirge, has caused Tank Tinker to seemingly vanish into thin air.
Oh, but I can't believe it. He just couldn't disappear like that.
Well, he isn't in there, Gail, and we couldn't have left the tent without our seeing him. He came right out.
But things like that simply don't happen. He must be playing some kind of a joke on us.
I keep telling myself the same thing, but I'm afraid I can't swallow it.
He's still inside, somewhere under the stage. Come on, let's go back, and this time really look for him.
All right, but I don't think we'll find him.
This way.
Careful now. Don't bump your head. That stage platform isn't very high.
Yes, I know. Is Mr. still on stage, do you think?
Yeah, it's awfully quiet out front. I think yeah, that's the audience.
Must be the end of his act.
Good. I want to talk to him.
Now, Hop, here. Here's where a tank must have dropped through the stage. You see the mattress?
Mm-hmm. Now, how has it worked? Mr. called for someone in the audience to step up and be the subject of his magic.
So Tank walked on stage.
Yeah, but why, I wonder? He's terribly shy in front of crowds. That's the last thing I would have expected Tank to do.
Well, whatever the reason, he climbed into the box that was on the platform in the center of the stage.
And the lights were lowered, and a moment later, Mr. opened the box and it was empty. That's when we left the tent. We came right around to the back here.
And found nothing except a trapdoor in the stage and a mattress.
That's right. And Tank dropped through, landing on the mattress. But that brings us right up to the blank wall again. Where could he be?
Let's look around back here.
Yeah.
Maybe he was confused and couldn't find the way out.
You'd find it soon enough. This place isn't so big that you can lose yourself.
Tank? Tank, are you there?
It's no use, Gail.
Wait, Hop. Listen. Someone's coming.
Stay behind me just in case.
Maybe it's Tank. Tank?
Who is that speaking?
Oh,
Answer. Who is there?
Hop, he's coming closer.
Oh, it's the magician, Misto.
Who speaks my name? I demand an answer.
Take it easy, pal. We can explain everything.
So, I repeat, who are you?
My name is Harrigan, and this is Miss Nolan. We live here in Lakeville.
And who gave you permission to come back here?
No one. We just walked in.
Did you? Then you will oblige me greatly by walking out.
Not so fast, Misto. I want to talk to you.
So, why did you not come to me directly instead of sneaking in here like thieves?
Now, just a minute.
Easy, Gail.
I don't like his attitude.
Oh, forget it. Now, look, Misto, come down off your high horse and prepare to talk straight. I've got some questions to ask you, and I want the right answers.
I do not have any desire to be cross-examined by anyone. Now, if you do not leave the premises immediately, I shall be forced to call the police.
I wouldn't if I were you. It might be a little embarrassing trying to explain the disappearance of that man on the stage this afternoon. The big fellow with the red hair.
His disappearance?
Yes, where is he? What have you done with him?
My dear young lady, you hardly expect me to divulge my professional secrets, do you?
Don't give us that. We know very well he was dropped through the false bottom.
Then, my dear sir, I see no point in your questions, since obviously you already know the answers.
Not all of them. He never came out of the tent, and he isn't in here now. Where is he?
I do not know. I have been on stage until 2 minutes ago.
What the people who volunteer to be my subjects do after they land on the mattress is of no concern to me. Usually they are intelligent enough to find their way out. Now, for the last time, will you leave?
If we don't.
Why,
Yes?
Now, look, pal, I don't want any trouble, see? Do me a favor and beat it, huh?
Oh, climbing out from behind the grease paint now.
I've been working these grinds a long time, and my slate's clean. I don't know anything about this guy disappearing. Honest, I don't. He went through the same routine everybody else does, so lay off, will you?
How long have you been with this carnival?
I told you, 5 years.
Okay, misto. Be seeing you. Come on, Gil.
But what about Tank?
He couldn't be down here. We've run into a blind alley.
Listen, pal, you won't start no trouble for me, will you?
That depends on how much trouble you start for me or my friends. Duck through, Gil.
Thanks.
Well, we certainly didn't learn much there.
Pop,
Huh?
did you believe me?
Whether I believe him or not, I can't prove he's lying.
What do we do? Every minute they mean Tank's getting farther and farther away from us.
I know. And as far as I'm concerned, this is the end. No more kidding around, playing detective. I'm going to call Inspector Wilson. This way, Gil.
Do you think he'll help?
He's got to help.
Jack!
Gil, what is it?
That man standing in the shadows. He's getting such a scare. Jack,
Oh, Charlie.
do you know him?
Yes, he's a character that hangs around with the carnival. Not now, Charlie. We're busy.
Just wanted to know if you brought it with you.
Huh? Brought what?
You're not backing out on the deal, are you, Jack?
Oh, now, look, Charlie, I haven't time for any games.
Soft pedal, Jack, soft pedal. You don't want everybody else cutting in, do you?
Pop, what is it?
I'll explain later, Gail. Now, Charlie,
I've got
please.
them all wrapped up for you. Didn't have time to go to the post office, but if you like, you can take them right with you.
Take what?
The elephants.
The elephant?
Please, Charlie.
That was the deal, Jack. 3 elephants for your hippopotamus. You're not backing out, are you?
No, Charlie, I'm not backing out. I just didn't bring it with me. I forgot.
Are you sure? You look in all your pockets?
Oh, good heavens.
Yes, I'm sure, Charlie. As a matter of fact, it's in my other suit. Now, suppose you get rolling. We're rather busy.
Oh, sure thing, Jack. Sure thing. Go right ahead.
Thanks. I'll see you later. Come on, Gail.
All right.
Jack,
So long, Charlie. See you tomorrow.
just wanted to remind you, wear your other suit tomorrow. So long.
Pop, who is he?
Oh, it's a harmless old codger. He had a bad accident some time ago, and he...
Wait up. Listen.
Good Lord, the funeral march. Someone's whistling it.
So, he's harmless, is he?
Huh?
It's your friend Charlie. He's whistling the funeral march.
Incredulous, Hop turns and stares at the slowly retreating figure of the ex-elephant trainer, shambling off between the tents, still whistling the now seemingly fatal refrain. Can poor Charlie possibly be the menacing man who makes people disappear? We'll learn more in just a moment, so stand by. At the start of Hop Harrigan, I was telling you of a new kind of teamwork. Autos, trucks, airplanes, and helicopters all working together to explore the wild north country of Canada for mineral and oil lands. Now, the main reason for using a helicopter was to carry the delicate electrical instruments used to spot minerals from the air. They've tried to use them from kites, but it just doesn't work. What was needed was a craft which could move through the air fairly fast without vibrating and shaking up the instruments, and which could almost stand still in midair in order to get the scientific readings. A helicopter just filled the bill. It flies about 80 miles an hour and can almost stand still in midair. Not only that, it can just about go straight up and down and hover above the point at which the data is being recorded. Right now, the expedition is operating out of Sudbury, Canada, and some pretty extensive tests have been made with the helicopter. The air exploration is being carried out over that rough, tough bush country which stretches from Sudbury north to the Hudson Bay country, a region which produces about 90% of the nickel in the world. That is, 90% is mined in the Sudbury area. In addition, nearly all the copper in Canada comes from this region, along with platinum and gold. So you can see how very important this new teamwork is. When you combine planes and cars, a lot of hard work is made much easier. Not only that, but using the helicopter carrying scientific instruments means a lot of land that might be bypassed by ordinary mineral hunters will get a close, careful survey, because from the air you can look over the whole terrain. So there you have another job in aviation. And remember, teamwork gets a lot of tough
jobs done, not only in the ground, but in the air also. Fellas and girls, there are a good many jobs still open in the aviation field. And always remember, America needs flyers. And now back to our story. Frantic with worry over Tank's disappearance, Hop and Gale left the tent of Misto the magician, determined to call in Inspector Wilson of the New City Police. But they were stopped by Charlie, the ex-elephant trainer of the carnival, and broke away from him finally with great difficulty. However, as he disappeared between the tents, Gale and Hop distinctly heard him whistle the now deadly refrain of the funeral march. They gave chase immediately, rushing through the shadowy back alleys behind the tents.
Careful, Gale. Don't trip over any of the guy wires.
I'm trying not to. Do you see him, Hop?
No, an old fella. He gets around fast.
We're near the end of the row of tents. Couldn't have gone much farther.
Wait, what was that?
Sounded like a door slamming.
Came from around the corner. Let's go.
What is that building, anyway? The only one that isn't a tent.
A prefabricated job. I saw them putting it up last night. Here we are.
I see the door. It's the only one.
Come on.
Do you think Charlie went in there?
No other place for him to go. Won't hurt to look anyway. Now, it isn't locked. Follow me, but stay close.
Don't worry, I will. Hop, why is it so dark in here?
No windows. Be careful.
Where do you suppose we are?
I haven't the slightest idea. What? Great Scott.
Hop, where are we? What's going on?
Oh, what a dope I am. We're in the fun house. You know, with all the crooked stairs and dark passages.
Oh.
It certainly is a good place to hide.
Well, now what do we do? Which way do we go?
Let's see.
Oh, no, you don't, you sneaking rat! I'll fix you. You won't make nobody disappear again.
Oh, goodness, he's all right.
Is he? He sounds familiar.
We're going to stop this tomfoolery right now.
What was that?
Sounded like trouble.
Tank, are you all right?
Answer me!
Calling frantically, Hop and Gale groped their way through the Stygian darkness, trying to find their mechanic pal. But the only answer they receive is a mocking echo of their own voices. For rip-roaring action and suspense that will keep you glued to the edges of your seats, gang, don't miss the next exciting episode. Tune in and fly with Hop Harrigan, America's Ace of the Airways. So long, Hop. We'll be seeing you same time, same mutual station. Hop Harrigan is a transcribed, copyrighted feature appearing in All American Comics magazine. Presenting Hop Harrigan, America's Ace of the Airways.
CX-4 calling control tower. CX-4 calling control tower. Standing by.
Control tower, back to CX-4. Wind southeast, ceiling 1200. All clear.
Okay, this is Hop Harrigan coming in. Yes, it's America's Ace of the Airways, coming in for another transcribed episode of the adventures of Hop Harrigan.
Say, fellas and girls, I'd like to tell you about some exciting new aviation inventions. Have you heard about the new type runways that have recently been developed, built of glass and steel? Well, listen carefully while I tell you how and why they're going to do it. You know, one of the biggest headaches in running an airport is keeping the runways well lit at night and in foggy weather. It takes a tremendous amount of light to mark out the approach and landing area when the sun isn't shining. Now, these new runways will be made either of steel or glass. And in both cases, the lights will be inside the runways. Sounds amazing, doesn't it? But, gang, when I tell you about it, you'll wonder why no one ever thought of it before this. Here's how it's going to be done. When steel is used, the deck will be made of strips of the metal running across its width. There will be spaces between the strips, and right in those spaces will be the lights. The glass runway will be made of glass bricks, and here, too, the lamps will be inside the runway. And once this new development is put into use, runways will be visible for miles at night in any kind of weather. Another thing, after they're built, it'll cost much less to keep them in good condition than it costs now with the concrete runways. In just a few minutes, I'll be back to tell you of some other inventions in aviation. So don't forget to listen. And now to our story. The measured and mournful strains of Chopin's funeral march have led Hop and Tank into the weirdest mystery of their whole career. For it is the signal that someone, somewhere, is going to disappear. When Bill King, ace reporter of the Continental News Service, first appeared in Lakeville with the seemingly fantastic story of a man who traveled all over the country, whistling the doleful lament, causing people to disappear, the boys thought he was joking. But then they heard the whistling in Lakeville. Hop, Gail Nolan, and the reporter tracked the mysterious stranger to a carnival which had just arrived in town, and for some unknown reason, Tank left them and insisted upon solving the mystery in his own way. Now, that way has apparently ended in disaster for him. For in our last episode, when Hop and Gail entered the funhouse at the carnival through a back door, they heard Tank's voice echo in anger in the darkened building, and then suddenly stop. Immediately, there was a dull, heavy thud, as though a body had fallen to the floor. Sick with fear, Hop and Gail were frantic.
Tank! Tank, where are you?
Please answer, Tank.
Tank!
Hop, what could have happened to him?
I don't know. Tank, for the love of heaven, answer me!
No use. He can't hear you.
Or he won't. Maybe he's still playing detective.
No, I don't think so. I'm sure I heard a body fall to the floor. Oh, Hop, I'm afraid.
Yeah, we're acting like a couple of panicky rabbits, Gail. Come on, let's try to find him.
In the dark?
Yes, give me a hand.
All right.
Now, we'll walk forward, but keep your other hand out in front of you in case we run into a wall or something.
Haven't you any matches?
No, for the first time in my life, I wish I smoked. Now, come on.
Oh, we're a couple of nitwits. When we opened the door, we came in, then we'd be able to see.
I thought of that, too, but do you remember where it is?
It's over that way. No, it's back there.
I thought it was on the right.
Well, maybe
You see, we haven't the vaguest idea, so we might as well do the best we can and try to find Tank.
Yes, if he's still here.
No, hold up, I've hit a wall.
Oh, good. If we stay close to it, we'll find a way out.
As a matter of fact, that's best. We'll get out and find the manager and have him throw all the lights on. This way now.
Hop,
Yes.
how do you suppose Tank got in here? What was he doing?
I wish I knew.
What did he say when we heard him? Something like, you won't make anybody disappear again?
Uh-huh. Which means he must have found the man we're after. Or at least the man he thinks we're after.
How would he know we'd find him here?
How did we wind up in here? We followed Charlie.
Well, you don't think Charlie is...
It's hard to believe, but the whole setup's hard to believe. Careful now.
What is it?
There's a tunnel down this way. Feel the draft? Come on.
Is it a way out?
Or that particular room, at least. Stick close.
Oh, don't worry, I am.
Come here, buddy. This is the fun
Some
house.
people at the other end. Rounding a corner. Watch your step.
Oh, there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
It's another room. Step it up a little.
Oh, I'll be so glad to get out of here.
Hope we find an exit in there. Easy, Gail. It's only one of those gimmicks to scare people.
Oh, yes, I know. Sorry. And I used to think these places were fun.
The light ahead's awfully bright. I wonder... Oh, great.
What is it?
Look,
What in the world?
we're in the Hall of Mirrors. Now, how will we get through?
Feel your way exactly as we've been doing.
Okay,
Don't bump into any of them.
you stick close. If we lose each other now, I'll have to pick you out of a dozen different images.
Don't let go of my hand.
I won't. Oh, Lord, won't this place ever end?
Oh, wait.
Gail, don't stop now.
Look. Those legs stretched out on the floor. Do you see them?
Great Scott.
They're moving. They're being dragged across the floor.
Gail, the shoes and the trousers, they're part of a coverall. It's Tank.
Grab his legs.
Tank!
Hop.
I hit a mirror.
Hurry. I can only see your shoes now.
Lord, Tank!
Who's that?
I don't know.
Hop, he's gone.
Oh, no.
Tank's gone.
That sound must have been another door. He was dragged into another room.
Oh, don't move. Let me catch up to him.
All right, come on.
Oh, dear, there are so many of you. Oh, Hop.
I kept my hand on the wall to the left.
Oh,
That's it. Here, now, take my hand.
well, is it your hand?
Here.
Oh, thank goodness. I was afraid I was seeing things in a mirror again.
Now, we've got to keep looking.
Hop, he must be hurt badly.
You were right. We did hear him fall. He was knocked out.
But who'd be dragging him over the floor?
Only one person, obviously, the man we're after. The man who's been making people disappear.
Why should he go after Tank?
Tank must have been on the right track.
Now, why didn't I make him tell me what he knew?
Well, this place never ends.
Hey, look, that door's sliding open. Must be a way out. Come on.
Where does it lead to? Well, I see another tiny room with a bench in it.
Yeah, that's another trick. Well, we'll have to go through. There's no other way. Okay.
Well, now what do we do?
Well, there's a sign over the bench. Sit on bench and grasp handrails on either side tightly. Now, go on, Gail. We'll have to play it out.
Oh, I hate this.
Sit tight.
I am. Now what's going to happen?
Door's sliding closed. Tank is taken out this way. Bench is collapsed and we're on a rolling coffin. We'll be all right. Now, except that light down at the end. This will only last a second.
That must mean the train's heading far away.
I feel so helpless riding on this stupid thing when I want to run. Almost at the end. Get ready to move fast.
Where are we going?
Through the door into the next room. There, slide off, quick! That's it. Come on now.
Oh, be careful. If Tank's in here, the man who makes people disappear will be, too.
That's what I'm hoping for. Now,
Why, it's only another room.
it's empty.
Hop!
Yes, Gail. The funeral march again.
Slowly, and with deadly accent, the dreaded notes of the mournful dirge echo through the tiny chamber. Hop and Gail look around them wildly, searching for their source, but see nothing. Absolutely nothing. We'll be back in just a moment, gang, with the spine-tingling climax of today's episode, so stand by. At the beginning of Hop Harrigan, I told you all about those exciting new runways that are lit up from the inside. Now I've got something even more amazing to tell you. You've all opened cans of food at one time or another. In fact, I'll bet you've done it hundreds of times. It's nothing new to you. But what about canning airplanes? Have you ever heard of canning planes? Well, right now, the Navy has more than 2,000 surplus carrier and training planes on hand, and instead of junking or selling them, the Navy's going to can them, put the aircraft into metal containers. The wings will be folded back, and the entire plane will be encased. With this new amazing canning process, planes can be preserved almost as good as new for 5 years. And if we need any of them in a hurry, we can rip open the can exactly like you do with a can opener, and the ships will be ready to fly. And here's another new development in aviation. There's been a lot of talk about air taxi services, but not much has been done about it. Well, in New York City, someone did do something about it. The planes pick up passengers right on New York's East River and take them anywhere within 300 miles of the city. The rates are reasonable, too, only 20 cents for each mile. Right now, the only ships being used are seaplanes and float planes. But say, fellas and girls, when winter comes, company officials plan to add ski landing gear. If this idea works out satisfactorily, the air taxi company will open branches in every large city in the United States. Places like Chicago, Miami, Washington, and Los Angeles will have their own airplane taxis scooting around. And take it from me, it won't be long after that before every city, even the small ones, have air taxis. Just think of yourself going down the block and hailing a cab right out of the sky. Yes, fellas and girls, with all these new developments, it isn't hard to see that the air age is really here. If you want to take your place in the sky, along with the thousands of pilots, learn to fly today, and always remember, America needs flyers. And now, back to our story. Stumbling wildly through the Carnival Funhouse, Hop and Gail's mad search for Tank came to an abrupt end in a tiny chamber where, once again, they heard the whistling strains of the funeral march.
Hop, where's it coming from? The room's empty.
There's a door. Maybe he's in there.
Be careful.
You stay there. What? This is the exit.
Hop, the whistling stopped.
I was afraid of that. All right, come on out.
Oh, wonderful to be out of that awful place. The air's so good. What do we do now?
We go to the police.
Jack,
What?
Hop, it's Charlie.
have you got it now, Jack? Did you bring it with you?
No, Charlie, I didn't bring anything with me. Now leave us alone, please.
Soft pedal, Jack, soft pedal. No sense getting excited now. I'll wait. My elephants won't spoil.
Charlie, we've been standing here long.
A while. Never can tell when you'll sell an elephant.
Hop, where do you saw Tank come out of the fun house?
Did you, Charlie?
Yep, 4 already. Been a good day so far.
Oh, no, I'm not talking about elephants. Did you see anyone come out of that door in the last 2 minutes?
Lots of people, Jack, lots of people. But didn't sell any to them. Didn't like their looks.
Did you see a big man come out with red
He
hair?
may have been carried out, Charlie.
Never saw anybody carry an elephant. But gotta try it sometime.
No, not an elephant.
You're right. You've got a hippopotamus. Now, how about it, Jack? I'll up my offer. 4 elephants. I've always wanted a hippopotamus.
Oh, this is hopeless.
Here, Jack. Maybe this'll cinch you.
Hop, he's giving you a piece of paper.
I can't waste any more time with him.
The fella told me if I gave you this, we'd have ourselves a deal. I want that hippopotamus awful bad.
See what it is, Hop.
Jack, how about it?
What is it, Hop?
Great Scott. Listen, dear. There were 12 little people never to be seen. Add a big redhead. Now there's 13.
His face ashen with horror, Hop slowly reads the cryptic message, and a cold chill of fear runs up his spine as the realization dawns that now Tank is gone, perhaps forever. Gang, there's a startling surprise in the next episode of The Mystery of the Vanishing Men, so be sure to listen. Tune in and fly with Hop Harrigan, America's ace of the airwaves. Hold on, Hop. We'll be seeing you same time, same neutral station. Hop Harrigan is a transcribed copyrighted feature appearing in All American Comics magazine and is brought to you Monday through Friday, same time, same neutral station.
Alright everyone, it's now your 5-minute break, so go do whatever you want, but don't do whatever you want because that would suck. Anyways, yeah, be back here in 5 minutes if, recording this in school, so I'm probably very quiet, but yeah, see you guys in 5. Bye. Alright, guys, this marks the end of your 5-minute break. Back to Hop Harrigan. Woo! Hop Harrigan. Yeah, Ace Fairways. Woo! I'm still recording this in school because I am smart. Anyways, hope you had a good break, and yeah, let's get back. Cool.
Presenting Hop Harrigan, America's Ace of the Airways.
CX-4 calling control tower. CX-4 calling control tower. Standing by.
Control tower, back to CX-4. Wind southeast, sailing 1200. All clear.
Okay, this is Hop Harrigan coming in.
Yes, it's America's Ace of the Airways, coming in for another transcribed episode of the adventures of Hop Harrigan. Most of you fellas and girls already know that to land a plane, a pilot brings it down into the wind. But if the runway and the wind don't coincide, why, then you have what is known as a crosswind. I suppose most of you have heard that word and know its meaning, and you probably knew about landing into the wind. But did you know that there's a special landing gear being tried out on a Piper Cub for crosswind landings? The wheels are called crosswind landing wheels, or castered wheels. That's because they caster, you know, like the wheels on Mother's sewing machine, or on the four-poster bed, or the kitchen table. So that when the Cub lands, the pilot moves the nose so that it heads into the wind. But the wheels, upon touching the ground, line up straight down the runway. There you have it, fellas and girls. A plane headed in one direction, but traveling another on the ground. It sort of looks like a car skidding down a highway. But it's not as fantastic as it seems, gang, and as that comparison to a skidding car would lead you to believe. Why, pretty soon the larger planes might even use this new invention as an extra safety precaution. Now, this new device takes the pilot 4 or 5 landings to get used to the odd way it feels and looks to him. I haven't any more time to talk to you about this now, but in just a few minutes I'll be back to tell you more about it, and also about the Piper Cub plane it's on. So don't forget to listen. And now to our story. Little more than 12 hours have passed since Bill King's arrival in Lakeville with a seemingly fantastic story of vanishing men. And already Hop, Tank, and Gail Nolan have become deeply involved. Their pursuit of a person, unknown, who constantly whistled Chopin's funeral march, has led them to the Lakeville Fairgrounds, where a carnival has begun a short stand. But there, instead of finding the man who makes people disappear, they discover the Tank himself has vanished. Hop and Gail traced him to the funhouse, but then lost him. In our last episode, they rushed out of the funhouse in order to call the police, but encountered eccentric Charlie, who gave them a dirty, crumpled piece of paper. Standing in the crowded alley between the rows of tents, Hop read it to Gail as Charlie stood by.
Listen to this, Gail. There were 12 little people never to be seen. Add a big redhead, now there's 13.
The big redhead means 10.
And the 12 little people are all the men who've been disappearing all over the country.
Jack, how about it? Will you show me that hippopotamus now?
Charlie, listen, where did you get this note?
Huh? Note?
Yes, this piece of paper you just gave me. Where did you get it?
I didn't. Look, Jack, what about the hippopotamus?
Forget the hippo, will you? You've got to tell me where you got this note.
Soft pedal, Jack, soft pedal. You don't want them to know, do you?
Want who to know?
The guy who's trying to trade me a giraffe for an elephant, even Stevens.
No.
They'd be kind of mad if they found out I was giving you 4 elephants for 1 hippo.
Charlie, for the last time, will you stop talking about elephants?
I don't like you, Jack. Changed my mind. Don't think I'll trade with you after all. Maybe you won't be kind to
Hey,
me.
Scott, this will drive me crazy.
Stop, let me try.
Oh, good luck.
Look, Charlie,
Yes, sir?
you want your elephants to have a good home, don't you?
Oh, yes. They've always been treated good.
Well, the man who'd take care of the elephants you give us is gone. So you've got to help us find him.
Oh, my, I'll do everything I can.
Oh, that's fine. Now, tell us, where did you get that piece of paper? Think hard.
Let me see. I was standing there, near the door to the front house. I was looking for customers. I had a couple of elephants left over, and
Yes?
all of a sudden,
Yes?
somebody came out who wanted to give me a giraffe. But I don't like giraffes, ma'am. Necks are too long.
Gail, how long have you
Please,
been?
Hop. Of course, Charlie, I understand exactly how you feel about giraffes. But now, about this piece of paper. You were standing near the fun house, and...
Oh, now I know. Somebody came up behind me and talked to me real quiet. He said, if I wanted the hippopotamus, I should wait there for you and give you the paper. That would cinch the deal.
Who was it, Charlie? What did he look like?
I'm not talking to you, Jack. You go away.
Tell me, Charlie. Who was it?
I don't know. I didn't see him. He reached over my shoulder and put the paper in my hand, and then he was gone.
Didn't you even turn around?
No, I was afraid I'd miss a customer.
Listen, Charlie, are you sure you didn't write this note?
Jack, the more I talk to you, the more I'm sure I won't sell you my elephant.
Oh, hang your elephant.
Oh, what you said. Now, I know I won't.
Charlie, a little while ago, we heard you whistling the funeral march.
I whistled a funeral march? Why? Did somebody die?
No, nobody died. All I want is to find out why you were whistling that particular tune.
I don't know, Jack. I don't know. Now, I think I'd better run along. There's a crowd on the midway. Maybe I'll find some customers over there.
Wait, Charlie.
Hop, let him go.
So long. See you around.
Yeah, why did you let him go? Didn't you see he was getting a little rattled?
No, Hop.
Well, he was. That's why I left so fast.
Hop, I think you're wrong.
Maybe. But come on, let's get going. Lord knows where Tank may be by now.
We're going to the police?
Yes, obviously we can't handle the situation.
Someone calling.
I don't see anyone.
Harrigan!
Oh, it's Bill King. See him coming through the crowd.
Oh, yeah. Coach, Harrigan, where have you and Gail been? I've been looking all over for you. We were trying to catch up to Tank. Where were you?
Well, when I left you, I went down front to watch Mr. the Magician. When his act was over, I came back and you were gone. What happened? Where'd you go?
First, did you find out anything?
No, not much. Mr. dropped Tank through a trapdoor on the stage, and then I figured we'd probably meet Tank out front since he told us to be there, so I waited, and then I started looking for you, and... Now, look, Spiller, what have you been up to?
We told you, looking for Tank.
Looking for him? Why, didn't he meet you?
No. After he went through Misto's trapdoor, he disappeared.
Looks like Misto's magic better than we thought it was.
This isn't a joking matter, Bill.
Oh, sure, I'm sorry, Gail. I couldn't resist it. What do you mean he disappeared?
What do you think I mean?
Why, the guy who whistles a funeral march?
Exactly.
Oh, good Lord, why would he go after Tank of all people?
Tank was apparently on the right track, got too close and had to be eliminated.
And the man who makes him disappear is Misto.
No, he doesn't have anything to do with it.
Tank was still all right a good 15 minutes after he left Misto's tent.
How do you know?
We met Charlie out on the midway and had some trouble shaking him off.
I can imagine.
But when he finally left, he began whistling.
Not the funeral march?
Yes.
Oh, no. He's not in on this.
Well, we're not so sure. Anyway, we followed him into the fun house, and a few minutes later, we heard Tank's voice.
And then we heard Tank groan, and that was all.
But what happened to him?
We saw his legs, or at least a reflection of his legs on the floor in the hall of mirrors.
He was being dragged out, but we never caught up to him.
Gosh, I'm awfully sorry, Hop. If I'd any idea something like this had happened, I'd never dragged you in on it.
Well, the damage is done, and we're not getting anywhere standing here.
You're right. Come on.
Hey, where are you going?
To call the police. Or even better, John Temple of the FBI.
Well, that's a wonderful idea.
Now, wait a minute, Harry.
For what?
Well, why call Temple now? We ought to be able to crack this by ourselves.
We haven't had any luck so far.
Well, look, we've got something to work on, and if we could bust this case ourselves, boy, it'd be some story, huh?
Bill King, how can you be so selfish? Tank's life is in danger, and all you can think of is a story.
Now, look, Gail, I know how much he means here, but all we need is one break. Couldn't you just wait a little longer?
We can't. Don't you remember what you told us? The man who makes people disappear takes one person out of each town, then disappears himself. If he leaves Lakeville now, we may never catch up to him again.
Hop is right. There's no time to be lost. But what can be done? Where can they start? There's a big surprise ahead, gang, so stand by. Fellas and girls, at the beginning of Hop Harrigan, I told you about crosswind landing wheels and a Piper Cub. They're a new invention for landing a small private plane in a crosswind when the wind isn't directly down the runway or landing strip. It may make learning to fly so much easier that by the time you grow up, you can learn to fly in just a few hours. Here's a better description of how the crosswind landing wheels operate on a plane such as the Piper Cub that's now being used for experimental work. As the Cub glides down to a landing, it has forward momentum all along its glide path. But the crosswind, if there is one, blows the Cub sideways, too. Well, if the gear were rigid, couldn't move,
Can't you imagine, gang, how the tires would squeak with the wind blowing the Cub sideways while the Cub travels forward? Of course, an experienced pilot can do everything just right so that the wind doesn't cause the plane to travel sideways. But this new device is for students learning to fly, for fellows and girls like you. The Piper Cub, on which caster wheels are being put, is a two-place plane. The new Cub Special is also going to have this new type gear. The PA-11... Oh, by the way, have you ever seen the PA-11? Well, it's painted blue and yellow and looks just like the regular J3 Cub. There are a lot of them around already, for many farmers are using this new Piper for their means of transportation. Speaking of farmers, I might add that they'll be mighty glad now that the castered wheels have been added to the Cub, because then, well, they can land on just about any type field. Fellas and girls, the producers of private planes are constantly thinking up new ideas to make flying safer and easier for you. Start to learn how to fly today, and always remember, America needs flyers. And now, back to our story. After telling Bill King what happened to Tank, Hop, Yale, and the ace reporter for Continental News head for the Carnival office to put through a long-distance call to Washington for help.
Say, Harry. Yes? You sure you want to call John Temple in on this? How about the local cops? They get here much faster.
The FBI can do a better job. Here we are now.
Think it's all right to walk in?
Well, never tried knocking on canvas before.
Go ahead.
Afternoon, folks. Can I help you?
He's the manager, remember? We met him last night.
Oh, yeah. We'd like to use your phone. It's very important.
Why, sure. Go right ahead.
Thanks. Hello. Will you connect me with FBI headquarters in Washington, D.C., please?
Huh?
And let me know the charges. Thanks.
FBI headquarters? Trouble, mister?
Yes.
Man's disappeared. Here, on your lot.
Huh? Well, why didn't you tell me?
I wanted to get this call through first. We can't waste any time.
But great leaping catfish, man. Are you sure he ain't just lost?
Yes, we're quite sure.
I'll explain in a minute, sir. Hello, FBI headquarters? John Temple, please. Thank you.
Ma'am, this ain't any kind of a joke, is it?
No, I'm afraid not.
John. Well, I want to speak to John Temple. Well, where can I reach him? It's urgent.
Looks like Temple isn't in, huh?
Hold it a minute while I write it down, will you? Give me a pencil and paper, somebody.
Oh, here. Here's a pencil. There's a piece of paper sticking out of your pocket.
Oh, thanks. Okay, now. Oakmont, 8765. Thanks. Well, I'll have to call him in Chicago. Let's see, I hope I can read my own writing. Oakmont, 87... What in the world?
What's the matter?
This paper. There's another message on it.
Message? What do you mean, message?
Hop, read it.
This is your bill. Pay on demand. For a big lumbering redhead, 100 grand.
So, for the second time within an hour, Hop reads another threatening verse. For a big lumbering redhead, 100 grand. Tank is being held prisoner for a price. Well, this certainly is a startling new development. But how did that note get into Hop's pocket? The mystery of the vanishing men grows even more puzzling in our next episode, so be sure to listen. Tune in and fly with Hop Harrigan, America's ace of the airways. So long, Hop. We'll be seeing you same time, same neutral station. Hop Harrigan is a transcribed, copyrighted feature appearing in All American Comics magazine and is brought to you Monday through Friday, same time, same neutral station. Presenting Hop Harrigan, America's ace of the airways.
CX-4 calling control tower. CX-4 calling control tower. Standing by.
Control tower, back to CX-4. Wind southeast, sailing 1200. All clear.
Okay, this is Hop Harrigan coming in.
Yes, it's America's ace of the airways. coming in for another transcribed episode of The Adventures of Hop Harrigan. Fellows and girls, talk about post-war luxury flying. Why, it's here now. A new commercial transport plane that combines the engineering and scientific advances made during the war with a new concept of comfort and speed for airline passengers. This new plane is Consolidated Vultee's Convair 240, 2 engines and a 40-person capacity. It's built by the same company who turned out the sturdy wartime B-24s, the famous Liberators, and many other military planes, which proved themselves under the most difficult combat conditions. The Convair 240 is a real eye-opener. Listen to some of its new features that will make flying faster, easier, and far more pleasant. This new plane never gets too hot or too cold. It has a pressurized cabin with constant controls, and while flying in it, you enjoy perfect comfort. The 240 flies at a cruising speed of 320 miles an hour, slicing minutes away from schedules. It has reversible propellers, which means it can actually back up, and it takes passengers aboard quickly and easily without getting them wet on rainy days. Jet propulsion, combined with 48,000 horsepower, gives the Convair 240 its speed and its operating economy. Leading domestic and foreign airlines have already purchased this new ship, and you'll be seeing it in the air very soon. Now, in just a few minutes, I'll be back to tell you more about Consolidated Vultee's new ship, so don't forget to listen. And now to our story. The solemn, measured tones of Chopin's funeral march form a deadly background for Hop's and Tank's latest and weirdest adventure, the mystery of the vanishing men. For, as Bill King, ace newspaper reporter, explained to them on his arrival in Lakeville,
A dozen guys have disappeared in a dozen different parts of the country, and nobody's ever heard of them again. And they didn't have anything in common either, except that when they vanished, somebody always whistled the funeral march.
So King enlisted the boy's aid in his search for the mysterious whistling stranger, nor did they have to go far to feel his presence, for on the very night of King's arrival, a traveling carnival began setting up its tents on the fairgrounds just outside of Lakeville, and the mournful dirge was heard again. The following day, disaster struck. Tank suddenly dropped from sight while on the carnival grounds, and Hop received 2 menacing messages, both indicating clearly that his mechanic pal was in the hands of the man who whistled. As we continue now, the young pilot is in the small tent which serves as the carnival office, with Gale and Bill King. He is putting through a rush phone call to John Temple of the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
Temple at Oakmont 8765 in Chicago. Thanks, I'll hang on.
Oh, I hope he's there, Hop.
So do I. Washington said he'd be there for a couple of days.
Well, what's he doing in Chicago anyway?
He must be on a case.
Maybe he won't be able to get away.
Oh, he's got to come.
Yes, operator. Well, please keep ringing. I'll hold on.
Here, miss. Why don't you sit down? You look pretty tired.
Oh, yes, thanks. Thanks very much.
Say, you manage this show, don't you, sir?
Manager and owner, son. Name's Barnshaw.
Oh, glad to know you, Mr. Barnshaw. This is Miss Nolan.
How do you do?
Miss Nolan?
I'm Bill King, Continental News Service.
Oh, reporter, eh?
That's right.
Well, look, tell me about this business of somebody disappearing on my lot. I don't like it. It may give the show a bad name.
Well, it's like this.
Here, hold it.
John?
Huh?
Oh. Well, when do you expect him back?
Oh, dear, he isn't in.
I see. Well, then, could you have him call me? It's very important. My name is Harrigan. Hop Harrigan. Yeah, that's right. He can get me at my home, Lakeville 41. Fine. Thanks a lot. Goodbye. Well, he won't be back until this evening. He's out on a case.
Yeah, I thought so.
Will he call tonight?
Yes. I guess all we can do is just wait, huh?
Every minute we waste cuts our chances of finding Tank.
Okay, what do we do?
Get to work here. He couldn't have been taken off the grounds in broad daylight. There are too many people around.
All right, we'll turn this place upside down.
Well, we'll start right now.
Well, now, I don't know about that.
Oh, Hop, this is Mr. Barnshaw. He owns the carnival.
Huh?
Mr. Barnshaw, this is Hop Harrigan.
How do you do, sir?
I'm glad to know you, son, but about this business of turning my show upside down, well, I think we better talk a little first.
Of course, sir. I'll explain, and I'm sure you'll agree to it for your sake as well as ours.
Go ahead.
Less than 30 minutes ago, a friend of ours disappeared.
1 minute, son. You used that word before, but just what do you mean he disappeared? Did you lose him in the crowd, or did he leave you, or what?
Mr. Barnshaw, he literally disappeared. The last we saw of him was when he stepped into a box on Mr. the Magician's stage.
Hey, now, wait a minute. You don't think he really makes people disappear, do you?
No, of course not. But we know all about the trapdoor on the bottom of the stage.
Well, that's what happened to him. He went through the trapdoor and then wandered away. Your friend hasn't disappeared at all.
Just a moment, sir. We haven't finished. Miss Nolan and I went into the fun house. I'll explain why later. And there we heard our friend's voice.
This was after he went through the trapdoor?
Yes. It was very dark. We couldn't see a thing.
I know very well.
Well, we heard his voice, and then we heard him groan.
Groan?
Yes, as though he'd been hit. Well, we stumbled around until we found the tunnel leading to the Hall of Mirrors. And in there, we saw his legs on the floor.
Oh, sure.
It was a reflection. We saw them sliding across the floor as if somebody was dragging him by the arms. And then he disappeared. We stumbled around some more until we finally found ourselves in a little room with a long, rolling carpet.
The magic carpet.
Is that the only way out of the Hall of Mirrors?
Yep, outside of the way you got in.
We heard a door slide close right after Tank's legs disappeared.
You mean the door leading to the magic carpet?
Yes.
Then he must have been dragged out that way.
We thought so, too. Now, when we reached the end of the carpet, we were in another small room. It was empty. And when we opened the door ahead of us, we were on the midway again.
And then what happened?
Nothing. We met Charlie outside. You know, the eccentric little chap.
Sure.
He didn't see anyone coming out.
Well, you can't rightly believe anything he says.
Perhaps not. But Tank was unconscious when he was dragged across the floor, and anybody coming out of the funhouse carrying a 200-pound redhead would certainly be seen.
I guess you're right. And I suppose if you've gone so far as to call in the FBI, you must think it's pretty important.
Oh, it is, Mr. Barnshaw.
Okay, then. I'll help you. Now, what can I do?
First, check all the entrances and exits. Find out if a big chap weighing over 200 pounds with red hair went out.
Right.
It'd be kind of tough for them to remember, wouldn't it, Hop? There's so many people around.
Don't you worry about that, son. My boys at the gate remember everything. They have to, on account of pickpockets and the like. If they say your friend hasn't gone through, by gosh, I'll believe them.
Good.
Now, what else, Mr. Harrigan?
Well, then, if you can lend us a few men, we'll go through all the tents and booths. We'll cover every inch of ground.
Oh, see if you can find his body, huh?
Oh.
Well, yes.
Okay, I'll get started. I'll send the boys right over.
Thanks a million, Mr. Barnshaw.
Don't mention it.
Well, he's cooperating nicely.
Yes, isn't he?
Oh, Mr. Harrigan.
Yes, Mr. Barnshaw.
Just happened to think, if you really want to get a thorough search organized, take a look at that diagram on my desk. It's a complete layout of the tents. Figure out what you want everybody to do so we ain't all covering the same territory.
Good idea. Thanks.
You see?
I see it, Hop. I'll get it.
Thanks, Gil.
Say, Hop.
Huh?
Why didn't you tell him about the man who whistles and about the 2 notes you got?
I didn't think it'd be smart. Tell him about the whistling and the funeral march and, well, it might start panic.
Oh, he'd like it. It'd be swell publicity for him, as a matter of fact. You know, come to the carnival where the funeral march is played.
Look, Bill, I know you're a newspaper man and you can't help thinking in those terms, but Tank has disappeared and publicity is the farthest thing from my mind.
Oh, sure. Gee, I'm sorry, Hop. I guess it is in my blood. I suppose if I was trapped in a burning building, I'd worry more about the story than about my skin. I'm sorry. I won't forget again.
Hop, I've been studying this diagram.
Huh?
This is the whole layout.
Well, where's the funhouse?
There. Sunk in the center of the carnival.
Oh, good. And that's where we'll start. Work from the middle out. Hey, what's this funny round thing?
Where?
Here, in back of the funhouse.
Oh, that's the carnival balloon. They have a big sign around it.
Oh, that'll give us an excellent anchor marker.
Who's Mr. Harrigan?
Oh, I am.
Boss sent me over to help you out. Got some of the boys outside, too.
Oh, good. Be with you in a second.
We'll be outside waiting.
Okay, Gil. Bill, keep your fingers crossed and start praying. Because if we don't find Tank now... Come on.
Leaving his sentence unfinished, Hop turns abruptly and leads the way out of the tent, his face suddenly gray and haggard. Gale and Bill King glance at each other for a moment, then they follow. Their thoughts also centered on the consequences if Tank isn't found. In a moment, you'll hear the gripping climax of today's episode, gang, so stand by. Say, gang, do you know what gives aircraft engineers gray hairs? It's how to get full power out of every gallon of gasoline. Right now, most airliners built several years ago actually use only 1 gallon out of every 3 to make their way through the air. The other 2 are wasted in friction and exhaust heat, but give no propulsion to the plane. Engineers at Consolidated Vultee, working on a new, different post-war transport plane, went to work to get back some of the 2 gallons of energy lost to older planes. They've produced the Convair 240, the exciting new plane that I told you about at the beginning of Hop Harrigan. It combines jet propulsion with regular engines.
They found that exhaust from the Convair's twin Pratt & Whitney engines, properly mixed with air, will increase the speed of the plane by 11 miles an hour. And this way, they made gasoline which had gone to waste begin to pay off. It works like this. Air is sucked in, even when the plane is standing still on the ground, by the hot exhaust gases, which are then mixed with air and expelled to produce the thrust that increases speed. This means economy for airline operators, greater speed for passengers, and better yet, it means speed that is safe. This exhaust heat does other jobs, too. It heats the wings to prevent icing. It heats the pressurized cabin, and it prevents fogging or icing of the pilot's windshield, which, by the way, gives increased visibility to both pilot and co-pilot. And that's the Convair 240, a great new transport to add new comfort, speed, and safety to commercial flying. Gang, with all these new advances in aviation, you'll want to learn how to fly as soon as possible so that you can get in on some of these benefits. Get set to take your place in the sky. And always remember, America needs flyers. And now, back to our story. Organizing a thorough search of the grounds for Tank, Hop, Gale, and Bill King, with the help of Mr. Barnshaw, the owner of the carnival, and some of his men, carefully searched every tent and booth. Now, an hour later, we find Hop, Gale, and Bill at the center hub of the search with Barnshaw beneath a large captive balloon.
It all depends on Brady now, Mr. Harrigan. He and his men don't find your pal Tinker. Well, he just isn't on the grounds, that's all there is to it.
The men at the gates are sure he didn't go out?
They swore no big redhead came through.
Well, maybe we didn't search the party house thoroughly.
You were with us, Miss Nolan. We covered every inch of the place.
What beats me is how Tinker and the man who whistles got out.
Oh, that's easy. I figured it out as soon as I saw the setup in the Hall of Mirrors. Tank didn't go out on the rolling carpet. That was a blind. He was taken out through the back way, the room we first entered, Gale.
Yes, I remember.
Yeah, but what about the whistling you heard?
I came through a couple of ventilator pipes in the baseboards.
Say, what's all this about whistling? Oh, here comes Brady.
No Tank either.
How about it, Brady?
Sorry, boss. Not a sign of the redhead.
You looked everywhere?
Yeah, everywhere. No soap.
Hop.
Well, Harrigan, that's that. Your boy isn't on the fairgrounds.
But he must be. You said yourself no one saw him leave.
I know what I said, Harrigan. And foolish as it sounds, I've got to repeat it. He didn't leave the grounds, and he isn't on them either. What's happened to him? Well, if you ask me, I don't think we're ever going to find out.
Shaking his grizzled head, the carnival owner makes a grim prophecy, leaving Hop, Gale, and Bill King completely bewildered. Where is Tank? Well, we'll get an inkling in the next episode, gang, so be sure to listen. Tune in and fly with Hop Harrigan, America's ace of the airways. So on, Hop. We'll be seeing you same time, same mutual station. Hop Harrigan is a transcribed, copyrighted feature appearing in All American Comics magazine and is brought to you Monday through Friday, same time, same mutual station. Presenting Hop Harrigan, America's ace of the airways.
CX-4 calling control tower. CX-4 calling control tower. Standing by.
Control tower, back to CX-4. Wind southeast, ceiling 1200. All clear.
Okay, this is Hop Harrigan coming in.
Yes, it's America's ace of the airways, coming in for another transcribed episode of the adventures of Hop Harrigan. Say, fellas and girls, there's a brand new honeycomb on the market, and no bee had a thing at all to do with it. This new lightweight construction material is called a honeycomb because it resembles the structure bees build. But this new honeycomb, developed by the Glen L. Martin Aircraft Company, contains aluminum foil. All kinds of substances have been used before to serve as a core between two sheets of wood or cloth or plastic, but none of them combine strength economy of manufacture, and plenty of other features, as well as aluminum foil. Now, this foil is the same familiar aluminum sheet you see in cigarette packages, and is a wrapper for many foods. I imagine some of you fellas and girls save it, roll it up into a ball. I did when I was a boy. In the Martin honeycomb, the foil is joined at its edges to the materials which make the walls of the honeycombs. A new kind of glue or adhesive makes the final product extra strong. It's waterproof, lightweight, easily handled, and lasts and lasts. You know, gang, not only wood, cloth, and plastics, but metals can be used as the walls of the new honeycomb. And in this manner, it's already being used in the Martin 202 and 303 transports as flooring, bulkheads, and doors. It's also used as a supporting wall for a type of fuel tank installed in plane wings. In just a few minutes, I'll be back to give you some more dope on this new-style aluminum honeycomb, so don't forget to listen. And now to our story. In their desperate search for Tank, who is apparently a victim of an unknown man who constantly whistles the solemn strains of Chopin's funeral march, Hop, Gale, and Bill King, aided by the owner of the carnival and some of his men, literally turned the fairgrounds upside down. But after an hour, when every inch had been covered, when every tent and booth had been thoroughly searched, Tank was still among the missing. Now, as darkness falls over Lakeville, Hop and Gale drive back to the airport, leaving Bill King at the carnival to be on hand if anything should break. Gale at the wheel and Hop slumped beside her ride through town in silence. But finally, on the state highway leading to the airport, Hop breaks out.
It's such an incredible situation, Gale. Tank didn't leave the fairgrounds, and yet he isn't anywhere inside the grounds. It's ridiculous. He couldn't have vanished into thin air.
Of course he couldn't. Been some mistake. Either the gatemen were wrong, or we missed up somewhere on the ground.
But how could the gatemen have missed him? You couldn't miss Tank in a million years.
Maybe he went through the fence somewhere.
Gale, he was unconscious, out cold, and at least 2 men would have to carry him. They certainly couldn't be overlooked or ignored.
Oh, you're right. I do hope John Temple closes as soon as we get home.
Yes, this waiting is driving me crazy. I feel as though I should be back at the carnival, going over everything all over again.
If Bill's there, he'll be able to handle things. Besides, you told Mr. Temple to phone you at home.
Yes, I know.
We're almost there. You want to stop at the airport first?
No. We might as well get it over with.
Get what over with?
Aunt Agatha doesn't know about Tank.
Good heavens, I forgot.
It's going to be one sweet job telling her, too.
Well, here we are. Better brace yourself.
Stick close, will you?
I will. What are you going to tell her?
I don't know yet.
Don't tell her about the man who whistles. Just tell her Tank wandered away.
Maybe you're right. But you know her, she has a bad habit of asking questions. That's funny. The door's closed. She usually leaves it up. Why, it's locked.
That's strange.
Hope I have the key. Oh, yeah, here we are.
The windows in the dining room are closed, Hop. I think she's in.
Aunt Agatha? Aunt Agatha?
She's not here.
Well, she didn't say she was going out. Great Scott, Gale. You don't think...
Harrigan, you're letting her imagination run wild.
Yes, but she'd have told me
Look,
that she...
there's a note by the phone.
Oh, let me see it.
Well?
You're right. Whew. I was really scared for a minute.
Where is she?
I've gone to the carnival with Judge Nolan.
Well?
Your dinner's on the stove. All you have to do is heat it up. Mr. Temple called you at 6 o'clock.
Good.
He will call again at 7. Gil, what time is it?
Almost 7.
Swell.
Did she say anything else?
She'll be back late.
Well, everything's working out fine. Maybe by the time she comes back, we'll know where Tank is.
You're whistling in the dark, and you know it.
Oh, don't talk about whistling, please.
I'm sorry.
I hope that must be Mr. Temple.
Keep your fingers crossed.
Oh, I am.
Hello?
Hello, that you, Hop?
Yes, and am I glad to hear your voice.
Same here, boy. How's everything? Been winning any more round-the-world races? That was a great job you and Tank did.
Oh, thanks.
I've been meaning to drop in for a visit, but headquarters has kept me on the job.
You want a case now?
Just finished.
Then can you come down here to Lakeville? It's important, John.
Hey, you sound pretty serious, Hop. What's up?
Tank's disappeared.
Disappeared?
Vanished. and I don't know where to turn.
When did it happen?
This afternoon at the carnival. John, his life's in danger.
Now, take it easy there, boy. Don't jump to conclusions. Maybe he simply wandered away.
I swear, John, if I didn't know you, I'd blow my top. Everybody says the same thing. He didn't wander away. We were working on something with Bill King. You remember Bill?
How could I forget him?
Well, Bill asked us to help him track down a man who made people disappear. A man who always whistled the funeral march.
Funeral march?
Yes. Bill wanted to break the story himself, so we said we'd help him. But Tank decided to play lone wolf, and I think he got onto something. But now he's gone, too.
And you think the man who whistles the funeral march is behind Tank's disappearance?
Right. The last we saw of him, he was at the carnival. Tank, I mean. Then he vanished. He wasn't seen leaving the fairgrounds, and he isn't on the grounds either. Oh, John, I'm so worried I can't see straight.
Sure, I know, Hop. Now, let's see. There's a plane out of here going south in about an hour. I'll grab it and be in Lakeville late tonight.
Thanks a million.
Forget it.
So, is there anything we can do in the meantime?
You say he disappeared on the fairgrounds?
Yes.
Then your best bet is to stick around there. You never can tell when something will turn up.
Okay.
See you tonight then, Hop. And, I know it's foolish to say this, but try not to worry too much.
Well, I'll try. I honestly feel much better knowing you're coming down.
Well, so long, Hop.
Goodbye, John, and thanks again. He'll be here tonight, Gail.
Oh, I'm so glad.
He suggested we go back to the fairgrounds in case something new turns up.
All right, then we'll go back.
You still have the diagram of the tent layout?
Yes?
Well, let's take another look at it before we go. Maybe we can get a fresh slant.
Here it is.
Oh. Well, now, let's see. There's a fence all around and 3 gates. We started our search here in the middle, right next to the funhouse.
Mm-hmm, right under the big balloon. We worked our way through the tents and booths toward the fence. I'm sure we didn't skip one. But, of course, if Tank was conscious and walking around, he might have been avoiding us again. What do you think of that, Hop? Hop?
Great Scott, Gail, what a fool I am. What a blind, stupid, blundering jackass.
Hop, what are you talking about?
Tank is at the fairgrounds. Gail, we were no more than 10 feet away from him. Come on, let's get out there, fast.
Crumpling the diagram in his hands, Hop rushes out to the car, with Gail, utterly confused and more than a little bewildered, following him. What does Hop mean when he says they were only 10 feet away from Tank? Gang will know more in just a minute, so stand by. I told you at the beginning of Hop Harrigan how the Martin Aircraft Company developed a new kind of honeycomb filled with fine aluminum foil. This extremely lightweight new construction material is sure to spread through the aircraft industry, and you may soon see this sandwich, aluminum foil as the filler, with almost any material on the outside in plenty of other applications. Martin needed a new adhesive to hold the walls of this sandwich, the thin aluminum foil, so they developed a super glue that works so well it can hold as fast as rivets. What's more, it works to perfection on metals, glass, plastics, paper, leather, and cloth. This new adhesive may be even more important to industry than the aluminum honeycomb sandwich. Already it has invaded the automobile industry, where it's being used in brake linings and clutch plate facings. And it works with amazing speed compared with other methods. On a job which would require 30 minutes with rivets, this new adhesive, used with an electrical heating device, binds parts together permanently in about 20 seconds. Just think of that. Now, let's take another look at the honeycomb sandwich made with this super glue. In addition to all its other advantages, it is unsinkable. 1 square foot will support 4 pounds of weight, and it will float even after 80% of its surface is riddled. Yes, this is quite a discovery for Martin, and should be a big help to light plane manufacturers who are always interested in a material combining lightweight with strength and durability. So that's it, fellas and girls. Another amazing example of the progress aviation companies are making. You'll be in the best aircraft in the world when you learn to fly. And our country needs you in the sky, for always remember, America needs flyers. And now back to our story. Checking the diagram of the carnival layout for a second time, Hop suddenly saw something that made his eyes widen, and shouting that he knew where Tank was, raced out of the house into the car, with Gail running after him. Now, as they near the fairgrounds, Hop explained,
I knew I'd forgotten something, but I couldn't put my finger on it until I saw that diagram again.
Well, where is Tank?
The one place we didn't look.
Pop, are you crazy? We covered every inch of that fairground.
Tank isn't on the grounds, Gail. He's over them.
What?
He's over them. The balloon next to the funhouse has a small basket underneath.
It has?
Yes, and that's where he is. The man who whistled took Tank out the back door of the funhouse, and the balloon anchor cable and winch is right on the corner of the back alley there.
Oh, I see. He ducked out, lowered the balloon, dumped Tank inside, and then raised it again.
Exactly.
Oh, Hop, I hope you're right. I do hope you're right.
This way, Gail. Down the midway to the funhouse.
Coming? What if we bump into Aunt Agatha?
Oh, well, just wave and keep going.
Hop?
Yes?
Don't you think we should tell Mr. Barnshaw we're going over to the balloon?
A little later. Here's the funhouse. Around the corner and into the alley. Quick.
Not so fast, please. I have high heels.
It's on the other corner.
Where?
Gail, it's gone. The balloon's gone.
What?
Well, you see, it should have been attached to that winch.
Well, maybe they found Tank already. Maybe they pulled the balloon down and then let the air out of it.
Well, come on, we'll see.
There's a crowd standing around the winch.
Oh, they look like the men who helped us this afternoon.
Do you see Mr. Barnshaw or Bill King anywhere?
No. Say, excuse me. Have you found him, Tank Tinker, the big redhead we were looking for this afternoon?
Huh? Oh, hello, Mr. Harrigan. No, we didn't find him.
Oh, where's the balloon?
Gone.
Gone? What do you mean, gone?
Just what I said. Some idiot let go the brake on the winch cable, and the balloon pulled loose.
Oh, no.
When?
About 5 minutes ago. There, if you look sharp, you can still see it.
Where?
Straight up, that way. See the little lantern hanging from the bottom?
Yes, I see it.
Well, that's the balloon, ma'am, and she's really traveling. Lord knows where she's going to land.
As Hop and Gale stare up into a purple evening sky, they see the dim flicker of an oil lantern glimmer like a tiny faraway star, and even as they watch, it grows smaller and smaller.
For thrills and spine-tingling action, don't miss the next episode of The Mystery of the Vanishing Men. Tune in and fly with Hop Harrigan, America's ace of the airwaves. So long, Hop. We'll be seeing you same time, same mutual station. Hop Harrigan is a transcribed copyrighted feature appearing in All American Comics magazine and is brought to you Monday through Friday, same time, same mutual station.